Oh yeah, you need to know when to leave. That's our problem with our OGs. They didn't know when to leave. You see, our OGs, that's why they're sour now. They didn't know when to leave.
I have to soundbite that.
They don't know. Please soundbite, because you need to know when to leave, and that's usually the problem with the people that are within our culture today. And I'm going to focus just on even Johannesburg. Bros don't know when to leave. Leave, bro. Open the space. Allow for other people and their purpose to also fully flourish within the resources that you have been fortunate enough to be given. Allow them in, bro. Stop. And gatekeeping is even too simple of a word. Harm, dog. Harm. I can't even say harm. Know when to leave, because I think for me, again, yes, you can say don't leave when you're hot. That's how it's fucked up. But I'm shining now.
From CNR JUTA De Beer, imina umsindisi wesizwe, umvelisi mnqango umelisi wesizwe, formerly known as Lwazi Madonsela, bringing you a show about creative entrepreneurs live from the landmark that not only birth SA street culture but also formalize the street hustle. On today's episode, we have
Xzavier Zulu, CNR JUTA De Beer, umsindisi wesizwe, umvelisi mnqango, special edition. Thank God for the savings. Yeah, today we have one of a kind, one of one. One of none. Progress, not perfection. Xzavier Zulu, formerly known as Ricky Kunene. Demand. How you doing?
Yeah, man. God is good, man. God is good. I'm grateful, man. I'm definitely very grateful to be here, man. I really appreciate it. Not only in South Africa, not only in Johannesburg, but obviously here in the podcast. The space and catching up with you as well. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, man. I think most people know you as a brand consultant. Some know you as a designer. Some know you as an upcycler. What would you say you actually do, if you had to put it in layman's terms?
Layman's terms, man, I think I am... What am I? Storyteller? Community developer? Product designer? I don't know, man. I think I don't know what I am. But I know I'm living purpose. I'm living my purpose. I can't even begin to give myself like a title of any sort. I think I've had titles my whole life. But yeah, I think for me, it's not even about the title. It's just purpose at this point. That's the best kiss. Yes.
You've been through so many journeys. I think the biggest question, the hurdle most creatives face, is how do you take your good idea into something you can use for an internship? How you did some work and then eventually got an internship at Addy. How did you maneuver that space?
You know, what's funny about my journey, especially the whole intern and internship period of my life, this was, I graduated from Vega. Shout out to my mom for sticking it out with me and providing me with the resources to actually graduate. When I was in Vega, I was already doing an internship, but I guess it was the internship of Braamfontein. It was an internship of just like inner city kid trying to meet your idols, trying to take every lesson you learn within the class and already trying to apply it within real world experiences. And so I think I would like to say I graduated from Vega. I'd like to say I also equally graduated from the school at BRAAM. And so I was able to take, the fundamental basics of being an art director, a visual communicator from Vega, but then because I was in Braamfontein, whether via commuting or for leisure, I also then was able to kind of say, okay, cool, I'm seeing this artist, this creator already existing. And I think we're all well aware of that era of BRAAM, 2014 and so on. And so I was able to just take my lessons in a formal structure, immediately implement them into kind of a social and cultural kind of like community-based setting. And I think the great thing about that era as well is that you could see your ideas live and fail immediately because people were very quick to react to what was obviously not even trending, but necessarily what people just knew what was hot. It was very hard to deny impact at that point. And especially if you're in an environment whereby people also felt part of it. So I think that's the biggest thing is like don't necessarily wait. I never waited for the internship. Vega, at that time only made you intern in the last like Q4 of your graduating year. I was interning in my third year in the beginning already. Like I think even in my second year already just trying to intern and go to artists and be like, hey man, this is what I do. Do you need a logo? Do you need a flyer? Kitcheners, maybe your flyer at that point was just like, rudimental. Can I do something a bit more? Can you try adapt this? So yeah, I was interning whilst I was still trying to graduate already, you know? That's pretty much the reality of my life at that point.
You've been creating, and every year you try to create at a bigger level, at a finer level, and you keep refining more skills, right?
Yeah.
I'm at a point also in my creative journey, right? How do you maneuver, right, when your wave becomes the wave? Now everyone is cutting up, and you've been cutting up.
Man, you know what's crazy about that, man, is that I think this was the only time I ever felt like that was when upcycling became a thing. Denim culture, I mean, that goes as early as denim culture, I think, and thrifting, everything else, I mean, I was introduced to that by even the artists. So that's not something that I necessarily formed. And even at that time, we had Mante, we had Jamal, we had different... Remember when we used to have style groups?
Yeah.
We don't even have that anymore because everyone wants to be Beyonce, but that's another conversation. Like...
Where the dream girls at?
Yeah, hey, man, where the dream goes? Where's Kelly? Where's Michelle? Like, we don't even have collectives like that anymore because everyone now wants to be Beyonce. But anyway, at that era, I was introduced by the artists into denim culture. Cool. I think and people, you know, feel free to correct me if you feel otherwise, but I don't care. I started upcycling. And I did it at a level whereby when brands saw upcycling as just adding a patch and you know, cropping a pair of pants, whatever, I was literally taking full items and unpicking them and creating new ones.
Sure.
I did that for a while, and it took a while before the brands that we love, the brands that I love, caught up to it, to see value in it, to see a skill as a point of interest. People usually see the end product or whoever's wearing the end product as the point of value. They didn't see the skill of being the main thing. And that's what I was trying to explain to a lot of denim brands at that time. Like, yo, man, listen, like, I'm a medium. The skill is actually the superstar. That's what I want to introduce to people, to say, you can do this too. I wanted people to understand that, and that help me get that to more people.
Sure.
Let me teach more people to fish, because I gotta be, but like, you'll never be able to upcycle like me. The point of where we're creating from is different. Fast forward to brands catching up, fast forward to brands, you know, I've had my own conflict with brands and brands that I still love to this day, but I had my own conflicts that really told me and let me know that it was okay to walk away. But then I see brands now taking the skill that I tried to present to them and maximize it with other influences and creators. And I think it put me in such a hole, in such a mental hole. I'll never forget, like, Salt XP 2019. I was working a 9 to 5, leaving my job, cutting patterns, going to studios, in between lunches, going to CMTs, doing all these things, pushing, only to see a brand go, firstly, produce mass production of upcycled jeans, which to me defeats the purpose. It's not upcycling, it defeats the purpose. You can't mass produce upcycled jeans. You can't mass produce customized jeans. Like, the customizing is your DNA, is your technique, is your means.
It's like ready-made.
Yeah. I think that's when I saw something that I worked so hard to try to introduce to people and became a part of my brand identity and things that people could notice me by, become commercialized, but then also for a brand to remove it and write me out of the narrative of how upcycling became a thing in South Africa, and they just put a face to it. And for me, I didn't have the answers on how to deal. Your question of how to deal with it, I didn't have the answers at the time. I just basically stopped cutting. You know, the artists can tell you, I basically just stopped. I went into, I can't even call it depression. I think I went into a state whereby I just didn't have a purpose anymore. Because my purpose was about trying to now bring this to so many people and let's do it together, and let's help people from different communities, not just the baddie with 50K or the 19-year-old somehow that has 150K. You know, like, I wanted it to be accessible to so many people. So I went into a hole, and at some point, truthfully speaking, the ego kicked in. Ego kicked in, and I, I unblocked people and I unblocked, the brands and all these different things. And I went and I checked because people were tagging me and stuff. And like they were tagging me in other people's creations and saying, yo, X-Bear. My boys were like, yo, X-Bear. And eventually I looked and I was just like, same shit. Like this is not, like you kicked me out for this. Like you kicked me out of Europe. You tried to write me out of this journey for this person, and you put money behind them, and you opened the doors. You gave them everything. When I was asking for CT,
the red carpet,
you gave them everything, and Bashaya 100 likes. So even on a business, if you want to just make it about business, man, there's no value, there's no engagement, there's no nothing. But the things I was cutting on my kitchen table were in the thousands. The campaign I asked you for to say, hey, can I please be included in this? Because I can see you using Jane Doe and John Smith. And I understand why you're using them because they are more hyper visible and they're more commercial. But if then on your post you've reposted them, you've gotten under 300. On a 40 with 50,000, I've also gotten under 300. Why am I in ops cutting on my table? And I'm in the 1,000 in 24 hours. But I had to ask you. I had to beg you to say, can I please be seated? Can I please go to the store and pick up these things? I had to pay my own CMT. I had to pay. So I pay everyone, even if I don't have the money.
There's a bigger question now for the people who know you or the people who think they know you.
Yeah.
How do you exist in that duality where there's people, because at that time you were at Brand, there's people who are seeking the same opportunities from you that you are crying about in other brands?
That's probably the most painful thing I've ever experienced in my life, bro. To have to turn down people that ever wanted to intern at Xzavier Zulu. And it's crazy to say that because obviously, I've had people. Bro, I was in Berlin and I had a kid that just listened to me in a panel talk, and I'm one of like 5 people, and there's Bruce from other brands and Spotify and all these. And this kid comes up to me, he's like, yo man, I'm currently in a fashion school, I have all these opportunities, but based on your story, I'd love to intern at you. And I'm just like, yo bro, I don't have a brand. I have a concept, I have an idea, I have a story. I have like my brand, especially now that I've moved and I've relocated, I don't have the same resources I used to have here.
Community is also different because you're starting a new one.
Exactly. So I'm like, all I literally have now is purpose, is storytelling. That's the only thing I can teach you. And I can't teach you my purpose and my storytelling, but I can teach you, or I can rather help you and guide you in developing your own and staying true to your own. And it's much more the mentorship aspect of Xzavier Zulu now that I can offer people. I can't say to you, yo, here's my factory, here's my machines, I donated everything. When I left South Africa, I donated my patterns, my existing garments, my cutting machines, all those things I actually donated to Close to Good. Because Close to Good were the last entity, the last brand, the last NGO that gave me purpose, that reminded me of the kid that was cutting and thrifting inward and cutting on my table. Like they gave me that. They gave me that feeling, and they do such amazing work with women and children and disadvantaged, and disabled, communities and people, that it reminded me like, yo, besides the Denim Tears collab that you're gonna be seated and this influencer getting this and all the it humbled me to be like, yo man, there's people that are literally doing it from a grassroots level again. So to turn away people that want to intern, Xzavier Zulu is incredibly painful, but I think the only thing I go back to is to say, yo guys, you can't intern at my brand. However, podcasts like this, any panel talk that I do, any mass opportunity to engage, be present, and let me also find more ways to also at least share my message, because I'm not going to open up a podcast. I'm not going to do that. I don't have the means. But let me try and give you any guidance I can. And sometimes even when I get quick DMs, I can't do long DMs, I can't do long phone calls, like, yo guys, emotionally I'm tired. But I'll send you just quick notes. I'm like, yo, this is what I did in 7 years compressed into a very long text, but read it and then reread it again in a year, reread it again and check in with that text so you understand that this is maybe a part of the journey that you might have missed. So yeah, I wish your boy was running Hogwarts or I was Professor Xzavier and I had my X-Men school and I had a bunch of people that could do these things for you.
Common X-Men there.
I wish I had that, but I don't. And so it's within myself or within these kind of opportunities where I hope I say something that at least lands with someone that might be in a part of their journey where they needed to just hear that point. So yeah, that's how I deal with it. That's how I make peace with it.
Speaking of peace, man, I think your disgruntlements resonate with a lot of people at home, including me, especially me, right? How does it feel when you put in that 5 years, that 3 years, that 2 years? You're refining it.
Yeah.
It's at the highest level. How does it feel to not see how do you react to the audience's reaction? I think that's the real question. Because now they're loving it. Why are they not buying it? And you can clearly see the growth. Some people are not liking, but when they see you in real life, they're like, oh, I saw that stage, I saw this. Your peers at that level actually recognize the effort you're putting in. How do you keep going?
You know, I'll be very honest with you, man. I think I can't relate. I can't relate, man. I think from the very beginning of my journey, there's a reason why I call everything everything as a sample. I call everything as a sample because I want people to understand that I'm not done yet. Everything I've created, it's created based off, yes, my purpose is fueled by purpose, but it's also created within the resource that I have access to at that time. It's the same reason why I remember when I was interviewed by another platform, I said to them that, no one makes mistakes like you. I wanted, and I've always wanted people to understand the process long before they bought into the product, because the process is what I actually want people to buy into. And process, especially when it's not perfect, is what actually makes things accessible. When it's not perfect, I can't relate if you've got a CMT in Milan and you're flying from Joburg to go to Milan just to look at fabric swatches and all these things. Like, we can't relate, or we're not at the same place. And that's fine. I can't blame you as well. I can't blame you for winning LVMH. I can't blame you for winning any award that allows you to actually have. That's what we all want. We all would want to have more opportunities. I can't blame you, but I think, for me personally, and I didn't realize at the time, my honesty, my transparency, my ability to share mistakes, my ability to share how hard it has been actually the thing that allows people that when they see the product to be able to buy it long before they try to critique. No one's ever come to me and tried to critique my product. I've always been honest to say, the reason why I'm selling this t-shirt and it's a one size fits most and not an extra small, medium, large, XL, all these things, is because it's wastage. I can't afford to waste. I don't have the means. I'm spending 7K plus to produce 15 t-shirts. 15. I'm spending 7K. I can't afford then to have someone maybe only come in and buy larges and extra larges. That means all that other stuff is wastage. So I've always been honest about my journey. And so I think people have always been, by the time they come to a pop-up, by the time they come to any kind of retail execution or any space whereby I've created an opportunity to access my product now, because they've already had access to my journey and my story, it's easier for them to buy into the product. For them, they even say, like I had someone DM me and say, man, I don't even care if the t-shirt doesn't fit me. I just want it because I understand that in 2021, when I first showed the first painting of that Lenzo image, and I kept showing you the original image, I showed you the video, I showed you all these things. By the time 2-3 years later, now when you see the t-shirt, they're like, but we like that pose, go ban. We finally now can have the t-shirt and we can have it in our own spaces. Thank you, we'll buy it. So I think I can't necessarily relate to people necessarily always critiquing my product or maybe showing me love and then on social and then maybe not showing me love in person or vice versa. I think I've been very fortunate in the times that people have always been quite transparent about what they felt about my product. And I've also limited the risk because my product is not, I don't mass produce. So I ensure the fact that, you make it a priority. If I say my pop-up is opening, go to, you have already tried to pre-order a week before. And it's whether or not I can really allow for pre-order. Is it fair? Because I know there's going to be a kid that when my pop-up opens, And two is walking from whatever area that they're walking from, took a taxi, did all these things to get from 11 o'clock to get there too. So I think I'm very fortunate with the community, the way, like, it's okay to live within your means and your resources. Sometimes the development of your project, your passions, that will come in time, but you need to find the purity and the passion and the purpose within whatever you have right now, and not think that like you're always immediately disregarding your today resources because you want so much tomorrow. Like, work within that stuff, work within it, make it beautiful. Don't shorten your consumer, because also I don't shorten. There's a reason why I use certain denim when I've upcycled. I'm not using thin denim just because it was always cheap. I could have gone to Node, getting a no-name brand, cheaper. No, I got the best denim even from Node. I know that might sound like a weird statement to make, but like I got the best
silver
denim.
tab.
It's silver tab. It's the vintage, 501 excess.
501.
It's not. It's the big E label. Like, it's not. I never shorten my consumer. Never. Even if I only had 40 rand and I could only buy one pair of jeans per week, I always prioritize that, and I think that's what they appreciated.
You're this kid at Vega. How do you keep creating opportunity for yourself? Because these were your friends, then you guys formalized as a collective, then you guys did work with Addy. How did you create just opportunities for yourself? Because a lot of people are still trying to figure that I have these skills I'm acquiring, but how do I actually create opportunity?
Bro, we used to have camps. Like, so I lived in Sunny Hill, Kabelo lived in Alex, Wanda lived in Yovo, Andile moved around between even Free States, Orange Farm and CBD. Like, we used to have these farms where I'd invite the guys, these camps where I would basically invite the guys over to my crib. Again, shout out to my mom just allowing just to have Bruce working in out of a crib. We used to, like, thrift, go to the crib, go to get some Subway, try and get the specials, try and get as much as we could out of $50. And literally we'd pitch. Because I had the Adobe suites, I had all the resources because of it, I had all the suites cracked. Actually, I shouldn't say that.
Adobe, crack it for us.
Hey man, resources, man. I did what I had to do at the time. And we would basically think about the favorite, our most loved brands, and we would create pictures, we would create stories. And because I had the formal education from that point, I knew how to do proposals, I knew how to write up these drafts, I knew how to have an aspect of the corporate English that made sense to then send out. And because of the artists and how their international community was also growing, and how still to this day they have a very unique perspective of fashion, whether African, whether international, they always had the most random access to people. Like, I can't imagine being a kid all the way in Alex or Yovo and somehow being able to have the creative director for Stussy DMing you, not the other way around. Bruce were finding the guys, and I was just like, yo man, okay, cool, as a sound system, this is what I can offer the collective. This is why I was always, behind the scenes for a long time, and I was always the art director, for the artists, in the sense that I always used to formalize. The guys were the faces. Kabana and Wanda were the faces, and then was obviously the content creator and the image maker for this collective. I myself was the art director, and I was, I guess, the manager, in the sense where I was always creating the formal aspect of the group that allowed for the opportunity. So, when we went to the Adidases and the Levi's and all these different brands, it was usually myself and the guys collectively all saying, okay guys, I got what you're saying, this is how you want to create the story, this is how I want to create this image, but now we need to hear the references, this is how you do a mood board, this is how you do you key objectives. Like, I was formalizing these things. So I think for anyone to this day, I think the main thing I've even said is that we took it upon ourselves to pitch. Respectfully, do you honestly believe, I don't care who you are and how many followers and where you're from, whatever, you're not always going to be so fortunate to have a brand seek you out.
True.
You're not. And please guys, ego aside and everything else, it's not always going to work like that. You are going to have to at times take it upon yourself to actively say, to this day, for who I am, for who people think I am, for what you think of me from a social point of view or from an in-person point of view, to this day, I still pitch. I still go to brands, I still go to festivals, I still go to promoters, I still pay out of my own pocket to go to Berlin and sit down and say, yo, man, hi, my name is Xzavier Zulu, this is what I do. Outside of all these things, I'm also working on a career within music. This is what I can offer. These are some of the expertise I've leveraged from fashion and corporate spaces to be able to now serve you in this capacity within music, whether it's as a consultant, a promoter, a DJ, or whatever. This is what I can do. I actively still go out of my way to pitch. And so it's like, yes, it's not always gonna come to you. And I think there's value in that. But I think, again, it's worthwhile that you, as the person at home right now, take it upon yourself, shoot high, shoot for the brands you want, and understand that that is a part of the journey as well. It's all a part of the journey. That's how I've seen it, and I've been very fortunate to work out for me this far. So I'm not gonna say otherwise, yeah.
You position yourself, you work this hard to be at this position you're at. You look back, now you've outgrown the internship, you graduate to a bigger position. What does it mean to be the person who's expected to articulate a brand to culture?
When I think about my time at Adidas, man, and I think about it, this is obviously Adidas South Africa, because I've been fortunate enough now to move into the global team. I walked into Adidas as an intern. It was supposed to be a 2-month internship. At that time, I was getting paid 3.5.
Damn.
I want you to
work
understand.
retail.
Yeah. You can't even buy a pair of Easy 350s at that price anymore. Walked in, 2-month internship, and I remember I landed in Cape Town. This was having only been one time before. Landed in Cape Town, it was just me, 2 bags in a box, and I mean, rent at that point was not any better than what it is now, so it got obviously exponentially worse. And you're expected, even as an intern, to show up every day. You show up, you kind of arrive early, you leave late. It's very the stigma of what an intern should be. You know, you kind of just like, not a skivvy. Oh, that is such a weird word. I've not used that word in so long. But like, you walk around and you really are just supposed to leave it all on the field every day. Fine. At this point in my life, again, thank God, and I've had a lot of people throughout my life really help me. Nati, otherwise known as obviously Langamavuso, at that time allows me to stay on his couch. Allows me to stay on his couch, teaches me the routes to take taxis and so on. Mind you, I'm still getting paid 3.5. I need you guys to stick with that, because you need to understand that it was never easy. This was after I've done the first ever South African campaign. This is the Pharrell Super Shell or Super Color campaign. Me alongside my friends, my brothers, and that also wasn't an easy journey. You're on a high, people are looking at you, your parents think you're shining, your friends think you're shining. We gave everything we had, we had shoes galore, we gave it to everyone. I think at that point, probably each of us will probably walk away with 10 pairs of shoes, and outfits and stuff. And we gave it away, we gave it away to so many of our, because there was always this idea that it would always come back. But you also know that even to get to that point, so many people have given you so much. So whilst you couldn't always give people money, all these things, but at least you would give them whatever you had. Intern, and you know what, man, the Adidas team at that time, until this day, are still very incredible people. I had great leadership, I had great guidance. It wasn't always easy, but I think being from Joburg, again, going back to the school of BRAAM, being from Joburg, you go to Cape Town and culture is very different in Cape Town. You leave a community in Johannesburg which is incredibly diverse, which is incredibly centered in community and culture, in the real representation of South Africa. The most honest one, good and bad. Go to Cape Town and you're being bombarded by the ocean, you've been bombarded by the mountains, the lifestyle. I immediately could feel that this was different. It was Cape Town, it was South Africa, but it was a different point of it. But now this brand is now tasked with communicating not only South Africa, but it's also communicating and is using Johannesburg as the environment to always communicate this message, but it's being led by Cape Town, which has always been a conflict, which is still a conflict to this day. I just understand it better now, why that decision. As I progressed in my career, I was actually happy about that. I worked up the ranks and, you go through a 2-month internship, they almost fired me. 2-month internship, I don't think I ever told this part to people. Like, no, I was supposed to be fired.
Yeah.
It was an October-November internship. My OG at the time, Stuart Davies, pulls me in and says, like, hey, Zabs, we don't think you're taking this opportunity seriously and we're going to let you go after this 2 months. I'm like, nah. I'm not going back. I'm not going back to Joburg. Like, my mom just finished scraping together 10K, trying to get me another, different accommodation because she was bombing out, people finding out Xzavier is black. By the time I come to try and rent an apartment or anything, I'm being turned away. I was almost homeless even though. That journey was crazy. I say to him, nah, man, listen, Stu, December's half a month. You guys are closing on by December 14th to 17th. Let me stay. You'll give me half the salary. So imagine I'm already up to 3.5.
1 point.
I'm fighting for
150.
Yeah, I'm fighting for 1,750 at this point now. It's like, nah, we'll pay you 4 months, but then cool, we'll let you stay. Do something. We like you, we think you're smart, all these things, but typical is not you, it's me, but it's you actually. And I kid you not, bro, something changed in my demeanor, something changed because this is also corporate. This wasn't agency anymore. Agency is a very different culture to corporate culture. Agency, you're living off savannas and chicken licking. At my experience of agency, you work hard, you play hard. No, this was a corporate setting, bro. This was pension and shit. There was no conversation about pension at my agencies. This is a corporate thing. You got medical aid, easy. Something changed, bro. And that 2 to 3 months became a 6 month, became a year. And soon after, when I thought I was going to be in Cape Town for 3 years, I progressed to what became an 8-9 year career. In that time, I moved into very different. I was always in the marketing team, but I was doing product at some point. I was consulting for the actual marketing team, and obviously I hadn't come from the campaign. I was giving them insights into Johannesburg is at this point. We have all this. We have this in Swingersfontein area. This is what Nike is doing. This is what Puma is doing. This is what Fila and New Balance. All these different things. And I was also the only black person within that team, within the marketing floor. And the youngest also. So I was just this Google, I was just this Wikipedia.
You were the buffer.
I was just a buffer, I was just this wealth of information that they didn't have to go to Joburg as often anymore because Xzavier was here. I was just a resource. So already the expectation grew. You grew, and luckily for us as black people, and I think for people who are within the culture, even regardless of race, depending on your purpose and your reasoning for being within culture, you can become someone that obviously can do a lot of good when put in these situations, put in these environments. So I was fortunate enough, and I'll be very honest with you, the fact that I was always the art director, the fact that I was always the behind the scenes guys for the artists, always kept me a lot. It gave me a great perspective that it's not about me. It's not about us. And that's why even for our campaign at the time, the tagline was not about us. Because we're 4 guys that are representing the communities that we all respectively are standing from. Fast forward, I find myself into a position where now, obviously, I'm in this entertainment and influence management marketing position, and in very simple terms, I'm now on the plug.
Yeah.
So now, from being the person that was waiting for Ipogis, I'm now the person
distributor
that's sending out Ipogis. And I never knew, when you work into a position whereby you've always wanted to do so much more, what they would do to you. Like, I never knew what it would take from me to give so much to other people. And you want to do it with love, you want to do it unconditionally, because firstly, as just any of my exes can tell you, I'm a gift giver. I love giving people gifts. Any of my exes, they can say whatever they want about me, but they know one thing. I will give you my 5 rand if I had it. I'll give you my last. I'll always give you my last. So now when you're the person that can give, and it doesn't even hit, it's not your pocket anymore, someone else's budget.
Yeah.
That comes with this a huge level of expectation. Because you now know that as the plug, which I hated that term because it was never me. I remember as this artist now, before the campaign, we couldn't afford. Studio 88 was selling Sambas, ironically enough, considered Sambas today. And selling superstars. We were buying superstars, and I think they were selling them for $6.49. Artists couldn't afford 4 pairs for each of us. So we had to put the money together for 2, for Gabelo and Wanda, as they were the Beyoncés.
Yeah.
So we had to do that to then work hard enough to then get the Super Sharp campaign, to which then we all ended up with 10 plus. So I know that. And so my purpose was to say that no kid should have ever had to go through that process, when I can now see that you guys have the means to do more. You have the means as a brand to really distribute and give people product. And yes, obviously you can't give everyone everything, but you can do more. It just took a bit more time, because the people that were had those roles and had those responsibilities, they were already overworked. They couldn't get to it. They couldn't really say like, yo man, I must order the product, I must put it in separate boxes, I must do this, I have to manage. Like, it's a lot of work. CD is not just, myself, Hayden, whoever works within these brands, just taking a box and just like, physically I must do the work to send you. Imagine that.
So you become courier guy.
Yeah, dog, it's not as glamorous as people think. Like, we all, different brands and different brand managers and people have played it differently. But I'll tell you the real, it is not glamorous. It is not nice, dog. To send out 200 pairs of shoes. Now I'm going to send Shakana there, Tebe there, Lenzo there, Tamara there, Uli there. Oh no, this shoe doesn't fit me. Is it not running green? Yo, now I must... Like, it's not a glamorous thing, but I guess because I was still fueled from the same purpose that I had within my personal career, this artist, my personal career again, and now this career, I think it let me manage it all very well. What became a problem is when I became... 2 things became a problem. In a corporate setting, what became a problem is that when I was Xzavier Kunene in the office, EIM specialist, but then I was Xzavier Zulu, creator, upcycler, brand consultant. Internally, that became an issue. Because now, they're like, yo, man, you're shining. Like, you're here and now you got campaigns and stuff. Why can't you do that for us? There's only one time when I've ever upcycled and it wasn't denim. It's when I took the Daniel Kopari collection from Adidas, which is ironically enough an upcycling collection, and I upcycled that collection.
So you remixed the remix?
Yeah. It's the only time I've ever upcycled outside of denim. And it's because the pressure within the brand was to be like, yo man, why can't you do that for us? I'm like, how? There's on half a quarter. Because this is not my KPI, this is not my job description. Upcycling was never part of my job description for this role. So why do you want now both? You want to treat me like an employee and an influencer? And it caused a lot of, anyone that knows, Satis knows, like, there were times when I was probably getting fired at least once every 6 months. Because now I'm going to Joburg and I was balancing my time very well. I think that's what also caused a lot of tension and frustration. Like, yo man, how are we seeing in a Valentine's campaign, Levi's, all these different things? You're doing flying fish, you're doing exhibition, you're going to Amsterdam to do this. Like, how are you doing this? And you're doing it well within the lines, but you're still now developing your voice as the EIM specialist, and you're creating a community within Adidas, and it's working. How? Let's not even go into agency conflict. Because now some of the same agency that was managing Adidas, it's the same agency that was managing Levi's. So now when the disgruntlement starts happening with Levi's, I'm gonna still see you on Monday for Adidas. Because I'm still having the same
different
conflict.
role.
In a different role. Because now I'm the talent here, I'm the creator here, but now I'm client here. So if it's fuck you as client, it's fuck you and it stays.
Across the board.
If it's fuck you, it's like, fuck you. And, we can just stop seeing you, we can just cancel this campaign. And I think that's when the tension really started within my career, bro. And it's something that I ultimately, I think it's something that is not, I never like speaking about it because at the time I wasn't as mature as I am now. And I didn't have all the words, I didn't have all the way. I was wilding. Like I was full, like Mad Max, Kanye West, like, no, like, you're not gonna treat me like this. I've given this brand everything. I've given you guys everything. And I was never an influencer. I came here and I created from scratch and I created without you. My boys they're the ones that taught me how to fish. They are the ones that if anyone can ever say they made me, is this artist. And even then, to a certain degree, I surpassed even what they initially wanted to teach me. Because of all the beef, they ended up leaving Levi's, which is again the irony of Wonder today being the face of a 501 campaign, a global campaign, which also shows you this life thing is long. This life thing is long, bro. It's long. And so the irony of having the issues of like, going to Dubai, being the first person to go to Dubai, sell an upcycling collection, fully Levi's.
In the same space as Gucci.
And the same space of Gucci, in the same space of Levi's themselves, retaining the Babe collab.
Yes. Having
the global marketing manager, VP, product designer, the same person that literally signed Virgil Abloh's collab off.
Who's Samir, if I'm not wrong.
Look for me, and I'll never forget one that coming up to me like, yo, dog, this bro's looking for you. Like somehow this guy heard about you, and he's looking for you. He's like, dog, even Lolo. It's like, yo, dog, do you know who that is? This guy's the one that even signed Virgil. Find him. Excited that time. This guy came to my store in the morning to look for me. To have all of those moments happen, you come back, but the local team doesn't treat you like you just did that. Instead, they push you aside. Instead, they don't post the content that you shared with them. Instead, they don't pay out what they were supposed to pay out at the time. Wanda got his visa the day before the flight. Wanda had to share a hotel room with me based off another bag that got me to Dubai because the other bag didn't clear. The agency is lying to the brand saying that no, Xzavier didn't share content. You send the WeTransfer link straight to brand because luckily you also speak to the brand directly. The brand is also in conflict because the communication between myself and them, rightfully at the time, because of things that were happening so quickly from my side as well, weren't clear. There's a bit of distrust between both parties now. You go from this high, you go home, and then the brand sidelines you. That started the trickle-down effect of me just putting down denim as all. I don't even think I wore denim after 2019. Because to see something you love so much unconditionally, not as a trend, not as an influencer, not as a creator, not as you just love something. Unconditionally, you've deemed it as your purpose. And for someone to rip that from you and think that they have the power, because clearly now you come back home.
You can block certain things.
Yeah, now you're just like, damn, okay, so who am I then? If these people that I've loved for so long are also just... You do that, and then now in Adidas though, I took all that energy and I said, let me go harder here. And I think that's when I really also understood that fully my purpose. I'm like, community. That's my purpose within Adidas. Is to make sure that the sorters of 2019, 2020, 2021 and beyond never go through that moment whereby they don't feel seen by a brand and cannot access a brand. there needs to be a point of access for the same consumer that we keep on selling to be able to be welcomed in.
We're talking about it, right?
Yeah.
There's Salters of 2026. They're watching this right now. What would you say as something you need that's essential within a pitch from your perspective? As someone who studied it, as someone who's worked within the brand accepting pitches, what would you say are the essentials for us to actually secure the pitch?
I think the biggest thing that a lot of young talent, especially because I've been young before, is thinking that you have the answers. Is thinking that you are going to save the brand. I don't think people fully understand that these brands are machines that will live. Adidas was there before you, eh? You're 16 and you're talking as if like you are going to revolutionize. Like, I understand it, bro. You love Kanye, I get it. I'm tired, I get it. But also your tone, your language, the means, your reasoning, your purpose, your arrogance, your blind spots. Have people around you or be self-aware enough to know that this is going to be a partnership, this is going to be a relationship. You're speaking to a person before you're speaking to the brand. So a lot of ideas, a lot of pitches will die purely because the person that you now spoke to in hand is like, I got that. This is how you treat people that you don't know, just on a human level. I've seen a lot of emails just because of the simple fact that not because maybe your ideas or whatever weren't of value or could not be considered, but it's just how when you treated our agency, how you treat it, which is ironic considering how I have worked with agencies before and the conflict I've had with agencies before. Hence why I go back to I was not always the most mature in my understanding of how to deal. Because at that time, I just thought as an agency, you just need to understand that I'm not a fucking influencer, bro.
I'm a game changer.
I'm here to change.
I'm avant-garde.
I'm here to change. I'm here to change and I love this shit. Like, you're talking to me as if like, I don't live this shit. You're teaching me like I know more about Levi's than you. You have to read the books. I'm living this shit. I'm sitting down. I'm doing the work outside 360. You got 10 other clients. You're selling salsas and ciders and different things. Like, this is just rent to you. And a brief. I don't need the brief. I know this brand. But you do need to then, when all that is said and done, that's not what needs to be conveyed in person. That's not what needs to be conveyed in emails.
Internalize it.
Internalize it. Do the work. And I think that's the only thing that like the scientists of 2020, 2021, whatever, and beyond 2026, try to maintain eye-level conversations with anyone that you speak to. Lead with respect, convey your purpose, and convey the opportunity to develop each other through this partnership. It can't just be about, I'm going to change your life. This is who I am Beyonce, because we all know where that led. So it's not good enough for you to just say, I am this person. You need to understand that a true partnership, a true relationship is going to be beneficial when both parties understand that this is where the development of this partnership, the ongoing opportunities will be because we are together in this. We're walking this journey together, and you are learning as because you're young, so I get it. You might not always have the means to convey your ideas but like you need to understand. That's why I'm saying eye level respect. Keep it normal. Just say, yo, man, I really believe that this is what we could do together. This is where I might need. If you haven't already shown proof of concept, maybe this is what I might need to show you proof of concept to then maybe have a further conversation to say, cool. Right now, maybe we've just given you 3.5 and 2 pairs of shoes for me and my whatever partner, team, whatever. But can we then work towards a means whereby if you have upcoming campaign opportunities, this is what I believe then we can do with more resources, more access, more. That's the conversation. And you can't skip. If I skipped my internship with 3.5, I would have never been able to be in the opportunity where I could give people triple. Bro, my first leading campaigns, bro, I was giving a young Ngoli, a young Tamara, a young Lenzo, my 4th year salary for their first campaigns.
You're giving opportunity
Yeah.
that you wish you had.
Yeah.
You're experiencing people use those opportunities and grow.
Yeah.
You have this opportunity to change lives. In that duality of existing within both roles,
Yeah.
do you feel like you're slowing yourself down by giving back to this corporation that you work for when you could accelerate these ideas on your own?
No, I could have never have been, and I could have never have done, and I could have never been the person that I've been within culture if it wasn't for Adidas. I could never, and I don't think I would have wanted to. It didn't need to be me. Didn't need to be me alone on an island. I respect, I appreciate the opportunity I got in 2014. I appreciate the opportunity I got now in 2022 to go to the global team. Like, it didn't need to be me. I just needed a partner that would allow me to be, would reaffirm, remind me of my purpose. Like, Adidas is an incredibly purposeful brand. You see it within, whether it's in South Africa and the work that they do, and not the campaigns. That's the thing, unfortunately, within the culture that we're in and what we deem as important. Y'all need to look at the social work that Adidas does. They do incredible work. I'm talking about rebuilding schools, creating sustainable sanitary pads for women in sports, for children. And I think that's the thing. Because I was within the brand, I got to see the full purpose of this brand. It was not just about seeding rapper X Easy. It was not that. It was not that. It was so much more. So, yeah.
You seed rapper X.
Yeah.
You seed model B.
I didn't either, but yeah.
So
purposefully, I didn't either, but yeah.
So when you're in that position, when you reflect, how do you actually measure you keeping to what you said you want to do when you were an intern to then what you now know as someone who's been at the brand for 4 or 5 years?
So this is the strategy I always had, you know? And Puma, New Balance, any other brand that's listening, take notes. You could learn a lot from even some of the good work you're already doing as the brand managers within these brands. I believe where Adidas had a shifting moment, because Nike obviously ran these streets for a long time. Nike, globally and locally, but let's focus on the local, still dominated for a long time. I believe where Adidas really shifted, and let me say Adidas Originals, the lifestyle and the culture. Where Adidas shifted from a local point of view is subculture. You know, Adidas came in as a brand and allowed me and allowed the agency at the time to really focus on subculture and really amplify the voices of people like your Stiff Bubs, your Fucker, you know, an accomplished but still young DJ like a D-Caller, a Big Hash, Shakana, Tebe. If you look at any of those names today, they're far. But it took the brand, how I measured my purpose, how I kept true to the intern Xzavier and even the young Xzavier, was that I always ensured the fact that this brand had a clear purpose to really uplift next. To affirm the purpose, I remember one of the first times I ever started upcycling, I remember this one moment I was struggling to dye a pair of jeans and I was crying like listening to You Can Do It Too, because I believe so hard in those lyrics for Pharrell, if You Can Do It Too, I believe so hard, and I still do. It's the reason why Tyler Creator still references that song to this day.
Yeah.
The honesty that I could maintain was that I wanted subcultures to always be prevalent within this brand, because I think our competitors were very good at getting the biggest names. The biggest names. They were always very good at getting the biggest names.
Can't fight a Casta Semenya.
You can't fight Casta, guys.
You can't fight a Manti Rubania.
You can't fight Mante. You can't. He's old. You can't find, an entity like the Ribani family. You just can't. And so I was like, okay, fuck, our competitor, Nike specifically, was doing such a great job of getting some of the biggest names. That time they were getting less. There was only Nike's top of mind names. You could only maybe mention under like between 3 and 5. Adidas, you felt it at every corner, at every party, at every event, at brunch, because I found every kid, us Lenzo, us Nkuli, us Tamara, I found any of these kids, us Shakana, us Tebe, where I found them. I found people when they were still pattern makers.
For other designers.
I found people when they've lost the competitions. They were the visibility. I found people when they were walking up to us at BRAAM, finding us at the Father Coffee bench. I found, and I remembered them. So by the time you found me at the Father Coffee bench, when I worked my way into a position and you were still living your purpose, I said, yes. You stayed true to who you were. And you've even grown. Staying true is not in opposition to growing. You've grown. But your purpose, your intention, I can still see was still that. Adidas, and thank God for them to allow me that, because that was also a risk. And like, how? It's even like, but man, what about the Casper? What about, just bigger names? Why are you always bringing us
a risk?
Stiff Baba. Why are you bringing us Faka? Are you sure? And that's what I'm saying to you. I really appreciate Adidas because they let me. They really risked and trusted me. And also, I always thank the partners themselves that we've always worked with, because I say thank you also for showing up. You were given an opportunity and you showed up. Thank you, because you have no idea what it took for me to fight for years.
You fighting.
Always.
You fighting.
I've stopped now, but always.
You're fighting for the kids. You're fighting for the brand to grow. You're fighting for purpose to exist. There's key moments from the outside looking in. One is you actually selling your collection and pop up.
Yeah.
Another one is you going to Soul DXB twice and selling twice.
Yeah.
A third one is when Ricky wears your collection.
Stop.
How do those moments make you feel as a creative when you actually achieve the things you had set out for yourself at some point?
Yo, man, even with Ricky, sorry, though. People like Ricky, bro, like those moments, all of them, right? All of them that and it's so easy when you say it like that, but fuck. Like at 30, and I think about just like what each of those moments meant to me, what it took for me to get there, bro. Like think about all those moments where, like, as Blues, we never got to travel. We came together, we really fucking stuck it out, bro. And like, I'll start with the Ricky one, because I think the Ricky one is obviously a lot more, as much as I'm crying, it's a lot more heartfelt. Ricky, I think, is obviously, in my head, is still with me and with us to this day. I don't think we'll ever get anyone like Ricky Rick. I think it is unfortunate the way, it's unfortunate of the way that things ended with him. But you don't get D corner within Adidas without Ricky. It was a cotton fest. It was within him coming and just approaching me. I mean, I think all of us can share these moments of getting that DM from Ricky and you're just like, holy shit. This is it. Like, this is the core. Ricky wearing my collection, bro. And Ricky, to this day, shout out to Auntie B, to this day has my first samples. I don't know where they are. I don't know what the family has chosen to do with them, but Ricky, to this day, bro, has my first ever bucket hat. I've actually never produced another bucket hat after that, because it was perfect. And I would fight with Ricky. because what he didn't know is that he had my chapter 1 of my upcycling journey. He had my chapter 1, bro. And I think it's crazy because he never gave me the opportunity to better that tactical vest. So I had to rethink from thoughts what now the version 2 tactical vest would look like. I never did a bucket hat because fucking hell, man. He wore it at Fashion Week and he wore it in another music video, man. I can't remember now. And shout out to Wanda also for actually creating that. Wanda actually created that opportunity because at that time,
First cotton first.
yeah, Wanda at the time, Wanda and Ricky's relationship was one whereby, you know, Ricky had really trusted Wanda's eye and really just wanted different people to, you know, outside of the Gucci and everything else, really bring more local brands to him. Wanda, obviously being my brother, put me forward. And the reason why I say I fight with Ricky was he was just like, nah, I'll take one of it. I hadn't made patterns. I didn't really even refine my patterns for some of the items. Some of them I don't even have pictures. That's actually why I started shooting. I started archiving. Because I went through that moment of like, I'm thinking Ricky's gonna take 1 or 2, homeboy took everything. It's like, nah, it's fine. Thank you. Even the stuff that didn't fit, it's like, don't worry, I'll sort it out. Bro, yeah, dude, he has my first ever balloon. Fuck, bro, like, yeah. He has stuff I haven't even shot, that I haven't even recreated because I think every time I think about those looks, I just can't. It meant the world to me, bro, because again, it's the same thing of what I wanted to do for any young creator in my position with Adidas, to be seen by someone that you've respected for so many years. And for it to not feel like a favor. You never treated like a favor, you never treated me like a small boy, you never treated me like a root man energy. It was just as a bro, as someone that he had respect for. It was incredible, bro. And to sit on that stage and how the mini photographer had shot it and everything, I was like, yo, dog, like it was something where I looked at what I'm like, yo, thank you, bro, because I don't think, and I think in the one caption I wrote is like, you know, bro, I've never done Fashion Week, but I've been on this Fashion Week runways. And it's because of you, Ricky. It's because of you, Ricky. I've never done fashion. For all the clothings, of articles of clothing I've done, I've only been in galleries. I've only been in galleries. And I've been on one runway and it's because of Ricky. And for that, bro, I will always hold him in the most highest regard because it was not only for me, but he's done that for so many other people. I remember when I was trying to get selfie. Shout out to Boogie. And I was trying to get selfie on Ricky Rick. And this is when one of the first times that selfie had done a menswear collection. We were working with that at the time. I know what that meant to her. Celeste Orange, I know what that meant for her as a Kintonian designer, that at the time when so many other designers seemingly were more visible, to be worn by Ricky Rick as a Kintonian designer, women's wear,
the coolest
linen,
guy.
the coolest guy.
The flyers.
That time he show you Okapi, like, you know, the chain, and then he's rocking some other Loewe or other, like the fits were crazy. And to see that, and to see how many people he's done that for, I will always be grateful for that, bro, because again, it affirmed purpose. And so much after having done Soul DXB, having done, oh man, even the Joburg pop-up, I've not done, that's the only time I've ever done a Johannesburg activation of any sort, was that pop-up. And to see, bro, to run an event, and you were there, bro, to run an event was 7 and people are there at 6.
Nah, we were there around 5.
Bruce were there early.
Yeah.
Bruce were there early.
Bruce came in whilst you were still putting on fire.
Bro, Bruce came in early. People bought, my friends bought, and it's not like the prices were cheap.
Yeah, I was working, I couldn't afford it.
Bro, I couldn't afford it and I made it. But I was trying to elevate people's thoughts of upcycling and upcycle product, because unfortunately also people had saturated the market when it came to upcycling. Bro, I was trying to be visible, I was trying to be ready-made, I was trying to be on the internet. Like, no, like...
This is considered.
Like, if I made one kimono, it's yours. I made one. It's yours. Yeah. You're the only one.
There's a dude to swipe 2.
Bro,
It's too much.
so I think, I think all those moments taught me so much, because even at that moment when I was doing the Joburg pop-up, again, I was doing it with my own resources. And shout out to Valentine's, because Valentine's came through with the alcohol sponsors, and that also goes back to relationships. Because a brand could see all the work I was doing through Adidas and always trying to create community. I'm always trying to, I know Valentine's has a very shared internal record for most of the staple brands within them, always had such a shared idea to Adidas Originals, because I can't say Adidas because it's a sportswear brand, and obviously Ujwala is sportswear.
Yeah.
But at these Originals, there was more lifestyle components. I was always able to work with even other corporate communities to be like, damn, you're doing this as a brand, whether Ujwala or whatever, or an NGO or whatever, this is where we could work with. And so I think that's where each of those moments, bro, really just reminded me and affirmed my purpose. It gave me such clean, the way you can name it, that's 5 years of my life. And in each moment affirmed that you're still on the right path.
There's one thing we never talk about, right? It's just, there's people play roles in our lives,
Yeah.
but we never ask those people how they feel when they see us grow from the moments they played. How's it feel to witness brands like Bush Copies, now they're an agency that does stuff for the NBA? You're seeing them grow from you just casting them back then, seeing them grow into men, seeing brands, seeing Stiff Bob create Ebum Nandini, you performing at something they created, all those full circle moments. How does it feel?
Hey, bro, you're asking me such tough questions. Yo, last night I was in Sia's car, Sia car.
Mayaraya.
And to know where Getu, Sia, the whole Bush Copies collective, bro, where they came from, for them to see me the way they see me and saw me then and still see me now, to be able to sit in Sia's car, it means the world to me, Doc. That was the point. That was the purpose. That's what I was trying to get through. That it wasn't about, this immediate campaign. It wasn't about this immediate seeding box and all these different things. It was about saying that, yo, man, continue on your journey, and don't even let this brand be the thing that affirms your value. Don't think that you're not being seeded by Nike, Levi's, Adidas, Puma, New Balance, whatever, that your journey is not of value, or that you do not have a purpose. Your purpose may very well, not be recognized by some of your most loved brands, but it needs to be valued and affirmed by you every day. You need to wake up and choose to be this person. And it's hard because, you do wake up sometimes and you're not sure. You do wake up sometimes and you're not it just teach you oil on my face. It makes me so happy when I was in that car, bro, because I was just okay, cool. I get here and my bro tells me he's going to buy a car. I'm just damn. That's wild. I see Nkuli and she's moving into her own apartment. And anyone that knows Nkuli personally could understand, especially during COVID, how tough it was for many of us, but especially for young creators that maybe just started getting campaigns and the tap is off. To see Nkuli move into their own apartment, bro, that's the shit I'm just yo, man. That's all I ever wanted. I just wanted that. I just wanted people that by the time that you have maybe, yes, kind of all these opportunities and you have been seeing all these things, your life as well has also progressed to a point where now everything is matching. Where you have remained consistent, you have remained purposeful, you have remained, honest to yourself. But I hope, and that's the other thing sometimes when I get so annoyed when I see creators that I love in conflict, it was never about that. Y'all weren't supposed to shit on each other just because you got seated the Nike Off-White and you got seated a pair of Yeezy. That was never. I know I stopped seeding certain people just because of now you're using product to shit on kids. You're using product now to make the next person, whether they're not the way your peer or you're already diminishing the next tomorrow or the next Lenzo because you were not the Lenzo that got it. When I heard certain stories and I saw certain things, I turned it off because it was never about that. At most, you were supposed to take the old pair because now I've given you a second pair to give to that kid. That's what you're supposed to do.
But now you're in sneaker competitions.
But now you're doing swing competition with kids that are you, bro. That were you. You think that you had to be Xzavier to do that. No, you could have still been at your position of power and still given because you knew that you were going to give. You knew that you were going to get another pair.
You talk about giving, right? Whether it's an opportunity, it's in relationships, it's when accessing communication, the Father Coffee bench, having the opportunity to talk to other creators.
Yeah.
When you sit back and look back of everything that you've done, what's the one thing that keeps you going every morning? You just fought with the brand manager. You just got promoted. There's still motivation that you need even when you're winning.
I think what keeps me going today is that I'm very content about the fact that I've done my part. I think it's one of the reasons why I was able to leave Adidas. You know, I always think about Kanye's line when he says, don't leave in your heart. That's how me is fucked up. In some people's positions, some people's perspectives, they would think maybe I left when shit was really getting hard. Because I left when every African collab was being announced. And I never got to collect the trophy. Years of work, 10 years of work.
You essentially John Wexler.
Yeah.
You set it up, everyone else got the rip.
Exactly. So I'm glad you said that because when I say it sounds like I'm being a dick. And that's, I forgot, who calls me that? A few people actually have called me John Wexler in my time, and I'm glad it's people that know. It's people that know culture, that know like the journey of an individual like that. Like, you know, you do the work and you're behind the scenes and you're the art director and you just, you know, and then you leave. And then all of a sudden things, and whoever takes on that position seemingly is the person that has created all these opportunities. So I think what keeps me grounded, what keeps me alive, what keeps me understanding why I wake up every day is exactly that. Is understanding that, you know, I'm at peace. I don't wake up heavy anymore. I used to wake up heavy even when things were good, and it's because I always thought there was more. I always felt maybe I wasn't doing enough. And I left knowing that I've done everything I could possibly do for culture, for individuals, for people. Because I remember, you know what I saw? I saw a sign that said, everyone respects culture but not the people. I saw t-shirts. It was worn by Ulio, manager for Dikola. And I thought about that because I'm like, yo, man, one thing I didn't like about this game is that at times I didn't feel like I was respected. I feel like at times people didn't necessarily understand what I'd done until I left. They weren't seeing it. And even if they did see it, and this was also some of my ego, don't get me wrong. Some of this
but now the tab is closed.
But now, I remember when I left,
the tab closed.
Flowers came. And some of it's very genuine. I think people just needed perspective. They needed time to process. They needed to understand the other side. But I left knowing, and what still keeps me up to this day is that, yo, man, I did everything. I fulfilled my purpose within this life. I feel like KO. You tell how when people tweeted that KO blows up, he's like, he's on his third blow up.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm on my second, if not third blow up now.
See that coming.
Yeah, because I had my life of this artist, which was my blow up. I had my life within Adidas, which is my blow up, and Adidas even globally, which is, I still regard Adidas as one ecosystem, so I will account even my global successes as a blow up. Yeah, as my blow up. My third blow up is what I'm doing now when I'm trying to live for Xzavier. When I'm trying to live for me now, without brands, without partnerships, without sponsorships, without anything. I'm just living for me. I'm just trying to be.
How do you know when to pivot? Because
oh yeah, you need to know when to leave. That's our problem with our OGs. They didn't know when to leave. You see, our OGs, that's why they're sour now. They didn't know when to leave.
I have to soundbite that.
They don't know. Please, somebody, because you need to know when to leave, and that's usually the problem with the people that are within our culture today. And I'm going to focus just on even Johannesburg. Bros don't know when to leave. Leave, bro. Open the space. Allow for other people and their purpose to also fully flourish within the resources that you have been fortunate enough to be given. Allow them in, bro. Stop. And gatekeeping is even too simple of a word. Hamba, dog. Hamba. I can't even say hamba. Know when to leave, because I think for me, again, yes, you can say don't leave in your heart. That's how it's fucked up. But I'm shining now, and it's not because of Adidas. It's because I've done enough, where I gave enough to culture and to people individually. Because I'm not only gonna say culture. Culture is too vast of a word.
It's a vessel.
Yeah, it's too vast of a word. I've touched people's lives in a very positive way. It wasn't always easy. People also touched my life in a very positive way, and I think that's why I'm out here crying now, because I don't take it lightly to see the individuals live their purpose. That's all I wanted. So I think that's where I'm at now, is that like I'm having my third come up. I'm content. I wake up every day because I'm content of what the work that I've done for the past 10 years. And it's reminded every time I see these individuals be the people that they are. Like, know that I'm only content because so many of you are still becoming, but are still becoming so much better versions of yourself. You're still on your journey. And that's where my joy also still comes in. It's like, man, to see where so many of you are at, sure, dog, you have no idea. Like, and I can't tweet and DM, and you know me, dog, I leave 3 emoticons and everything, and that's how I am. Yeah, that's how I am. But like, I'm proud, bro, and I think it's just because you guys showed up for your damn selves, bro. I think that's why I'm here now, even with you today, is because you guys have shown up for yourself. You've shown up for yourself, and you're still living your purpose. And I think that's genuinely, bro, where I am at peace. Like, I'm good. Like, I'm good. I'm really just at peace, bro. And that's my biggest come up right now, is being at peace. My biggest come up right now is just being at peace, dog. Like, I'm good. I'm really good.
The most important question of this podcast,
yes.
The foundation of this podcast.
What size am I?
No. What's your word to the youth?
I can't say a word, man. I need to say progress, never perfection, man. Like, I can't say a word. Purpose, man. Like, really, my word to the youth is purpose. My reasoning for that word is that I really need the youth, but everyone else included, to have very honest conversations with themselves, not when they're in the club, not when they're getting seeded, not when they get an influencer campaign or whatever thing that is fleeting. I need you to really wake up in the morning, man, and really understand what are you doing today? What are you doing today? Like, what are you doing? What is my purpose? I really need people to understand that, like, what are you doing? Like, we're doing shit every day. I can't tell you what I've done. That's why did you see that viral video when Jay-Z was talking about, like, yo, I can tell you what I did in the last year. I got this person out of jail. I did this. That's not the shit that Jay-Z is flashing about it, or what we accredit him to being a successful rapper, mogul, whatever. Like, but that's the shit that he wakes up and he says, yo, man, I did this. For all that I am, I wasn't able to do X, Y, and Z. And that is actually my true purpose. And I think that's why I always root a lot of my conversations in purpose, guys. Like, my youth, Father Abraham, the youth, please have a very strong sense of your purpose, that you will never fail, though. If you understand what you're here for, you'll never fail. You'll never fail. You'll be so content every day. I honestly believe that.
Xzavier Zulu, Ricky Kunene.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to say, for the child of me,
yeah.
Abizo X to Sean, there's no beef. Thank you.
I
appreciate it.
Thank you so much, bro.